Hey, shh. Calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up loud. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
And welcome, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a little bit of an echo there. Anyway, we are back. It's Monday. It's Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. We'll figure out what the heck that is in a minute, but that always happens. I got plenty of news and plenty of views for you today. All I want to know is, I know yesterday was Easter. I also know that yesterday was apparently the marijuana annual 420 celebration. I've just got one question. Got one question for all of the potheads across the fruited plain. Did you smoke at church? Did you smoke at church? I bet you didn't. Mama wasn't standing for that. I'm just saying, everyone's talking about the weird 420 holiday coinciding with Easter creates challenges. What kind of challenges? What kind of challenges were they? Do I go with the family to Easter service, to Easter Mass, or do I smoke this bowl? If that's what you think, I think the media was creating something out of that. I thought that was interesting. I was like, really? Is that where we are? The fact that those 2 days would coincide, that people would turn it into Christians or Catholics who smoke marijuana were wondering, well, I could or I shall. Come on, knock it off. Talk about made-up controversies. That was actually written in a Connecticut paper. I'm even going to give them the burn. I'm not even going to tell you who it was. But I woke up this morning seeing that. I'm going, what? I almost put it in the stupidest thing I read today, but I have something dumber that I'm going to put in. And a lot of people are going to be upset about this. Even I was upset. But I think it's a good thing. I'm going to put it to you this way. The stupidest thing I read today is a great story that conservatives can get behind. In fact, what you want to do is, instead of calling it stupid, promote this story. I'll explain. That'll be around 4:30 today. We've got a guest today, Representative Craig Fishbein is going to be on the program. Of course, Craig Fishbein is of the 90th District. He'll be on the program at 4 o'clock. I want to talk to him about a video of his I saw on X that went viral. At least, by Connecticut standards, it went viral. He was having a conversation with a woman I've tried to get on this program who did not return my phone call, coward. Did not return my phone call, talking about juvenile arrest and juvenile incarceration. But Craig Fishbein had an opportunity to have some back and forth with this woman. We'll talk about that while playing the audio as well, and I'd like to talk to him about that conversation at that hearing. Also, we've got a bunch of other stuff. Of course, we'll talk about the MS-13 villain, ne'er-do-well terrorist that is Abrego Garcia. We'll talk about his girlfriend and that slime. And I'm sorry, folks. People who think I'm supposed to have some compassion for this woman, I've got none. I've got no compassion for her. Hey, did you put a restraining order out on your husband? I just know that he's alive. Hey, did your husband beat you in the face with a boot? I just know that he's alive. I just want him to come home. Hey, is your husband a member of MS-13? Oh, no, I just think that he's alive. I just want to show this picture to you people on the left who are coming onto my Facebook page, cursing and screaming and hollering about a guy that you don't know, never met. He's not George Floyd. You're not getting away with it this time. This is a picture of these cretins. Yes, I said it. You don't have to. I'll do it for you. These people are cretins. This woman posted a picture on TikTok of her loving gangbanger. Anybody ask the question on this photo, you got to go to Facebook in order to see it, or on X or on Rumble to go see it. But why did she conspicuously put the heart emojis over his left hand? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess? Because she knew that those tattoos are MS-13 tattoos. Well, everyone refuses to answer the question. I'm just wondering, that's a weird place to put the hearts. And then some bum gets on my Facebook page and says, his tattoos are on the wrong hand. He's not MS-13. I said, hey, stupid. Hey, stupid, this thing on? Hey, stupid. It's a picture of a mirror. Yeah, it's called a mirror opposite. That's his left hand, not his right hand. It's a picture of a mirror. That's why she takes the photograph with her cell phone into the mirror. A lot of these sloppy broads who think that they're supermodels, they do that in the dirty bathroom that they take a picture of them and put on Instagram. Yes, that's right. Do you know who you are? That's what she did. I miss you so much. Can't wait for you to come home. And we can get another restraining order. It's not happening, folks. I had to curse people out on my Facebook page, practically threaten them. Screaming and hollering at me, cursing on my Facebook page about a person they've never met. Never met. Don't hang out with them, don't know their favorite color, couldn't tell you their favorite potato chip flavor. But they're screaming and hollering about this guy like it's the most important thing that's ever happened to them. And I had to nicely tell two people who I know personally, do not show up on my Facebook page talking about this. Do not curse on my page. Do not curse at the listeners or the people who are on my page. Watch your mouth. Nobody goes to your page and talks like that, but you not talk to my guests with the F-bombs and the stupid, all that. Nope, you will not do it. Not on my page. It's like coming into my house and cursing out my guests. It won't happen. I had to practically threaten the guy. But anyway, I move on. To show you exactly how ridiculous these people are, and I do mean ridiculous these people are, they are going to allow David Hogg to completely destroy the Democrat Party. And I'm here for it. I want every part. Front row seats. And let me say this to the Democrats, and you know them too. Listen very close, people on the left. Let me throw your words back at you. We need somebody younger. We need younger talent. We need fresh faces. We need people who haven't been there for years. My response to that has always been, so because they're young, they're better? Yes, explain that to me. You mean just the fact that they're younger, they are better? Well, they may have fresh ideas. Tell me the new fresh ideas that they have. And then they start reciting stuff that, the Weather Underground and other socialist groups from the 1930s and 40s and 50s and 60s are promoting. These kids aren't educated in anything new. They're repeating the same old mantra. They're just dumb kids. That's what they are. They're just like the kid who you see in the little TikTok and viral videos where the kid is repeating what mommy and daddy say, where they say a curse word after daddy said it, and everybody giggles. They're so cute. That's what these idiots are. They don't have any new ideas. They're taking the ideas that are taught to them by the older generation and then packaging them inside these little mounds of idiocy, and then they repeat them, and then you guys tell each other, we need fresh people with new ideas. Nothing's new. It's never new. And David Hogg is no different. He was brought up under the same socialist ideology as the people before him. The only thing he wants are young people so that they look fresher, because they know that you are, for some odd reason, inspired by that. You know, you're the cat toy. You know, it's like, that's what he is. He's the new cat toy. Look, he's young, he's fresh, he's so well-spoken. Here's Dave Hogg talking about unseating Democrats. And why? See if you hear anything new.
I think it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for us to defeat Republicans with a 27% approval rating, where we cannot simply go out there and say, look, guys, we're not Donald Trump. Vote for us. We need to show people how the way that Democrats fight for democracy is by using democracy to revive the American dream.
So we have to use democracy in order to fight for democracy so that we get democracy. Wow, that sounds new. I wonder where I heard that before. Yeah, 10 years ago. You know, back when David Hogg was still going to Marjorie Stoneman before the tragedy that made him a star.
To help combat the rising costs of healthcare.
Rising costs of healthcare. Sounds new. No.
Of housing.
Housing? Really? We're still combating housing in the Democrat Party? Gee, that seems, no, it does not.
Elder care, of child care, and education.
Ooh, child care and education. Look at all of these new ideas. Look at it, brand new. I never heard any of that before. Stop it.
And making sure that we remember that our young people in particular, they are losing faith in our democracy, and people of all ages, because they feel like the American dream does not exist for them anymore. And
Bill Clinton talked about that in 1992. What's all the new stuff? Where's all the new innovative ideas? In fact, if I listen to David Hogg, especially on that part, about people who feel like the American dream is slipping from them, that's kind of like Donald Trump's platform. We just heard Scott Besson recently talk about how it's no longer Wall Street's turn, it's Main Street's turn. David Hogg just sounds like Donald Trump. Again, nothing new.
Answer to that is using democracy with courageous Democrats that actually want to fight back against what's happening.
Yeah, fight back against what's happening. A bunch of platitudes. Nothing deep, not even thought of. But see, David Hogg, he's going to run into a bit of a buzzsaw. And let me explain to you why it's going to be very difficult to get younger names or faces in the Democrat Party. Because as I told you a long time ago, it is hog-tied, not tethered, hog-tied to its leftist woke ideology. You see, in order for David Hogg to get these new, young progressives in the old folks' seats, he's going to have to do one thing that the left will never allow, and that is remove women and people of color. Donna Brazile expressed that to him on the same show this week with George Stephanopoulos. Here's what she had to say to David Hogg. And to show you what kind of coward she is, she couldn't even look him in the eye when she said it. But she knew. You can talk all that mess you want, boy. You better not come over here and take no seats from no sisters or brothers.
Look, I think what David is trying to do is to not just help to re-energize the party, but to help rebrand the Democratic Party. The concern that officers of the DNC right now, they have signed the neutrality pledge. David did not sign the neutrality pledge. So he's in hot water with Ken. I told him he threw a rock in the water, and him and the two of them and the officers, they got to get out of the hot water. But that's not my position right now. My position is many of these so-called safe blue seats, and I can get in trouble. Many of them are seats that women and minorities finally had an opportunity to come and sit in because there were no seats at the table for us. So before you start wiping clean the menu and the plates and the seats, be very careful because many of those seats are in districts where we are.
Heard what she said. You better be careful. Plenty of them seats got women's and minorities in them. Don't you come over here bringing in no white folks. Oh, Donna Brazile, you're an awful person. But that's what she's telling that young man. You're going to get nowhere. So I appreciate the infighting. I love it. But see, Democrats, you said you wanted them young. You said you couldn't wait to bring in the new frontier of the new Democrat. I see you, Brandon. Brandon posted a Newsweek article about some young people are overwhelmingly becoming Republican. Yeah, I know. I totally know. But again, as the saying goes, you reap what you sow. Wasn't it Nancy Pelosi who wanted to lower the voting age to 16 years old? I said it when she talked about it. Be careful, Nancy. Be careful. You lower it to 16, and then all of a sudden, those kids start overwhelmingly becoming Republicans. You know what happens? You'll be talking about repealing it. That's how that always goes down. So they say they're going to unseat all of these progressive Democrats. I can't wait. I can't wait until the Democrat Party is run by children. It'll be like Lord of the Flies. That's what it's going to be like. Putting these kids in charge of the Democrat Party, where everything is racist, everything is bigoted, everything is homophobic, transphobic. The older people are going to want nothing to do with it. They're going to abandon that party forever. You will watch those kids burn it to the ground. And we will sit back and love it because you'll have nothing left to do. What are you going to do, vote for them? Are you going to hate Republicans so badly that you're not going to show up and vote? Here's what happens. It's real simple. They're going to dispatch David Hogg within a heartbeat. He'll be gone. He pulled in $20 million. They'll be afraid. There's a little bit of fear because they don't know how to criticize their own. They do it on the hush-hush, on the sly. But they will get rid of him. They have no choice. He's coming for all of their seats. He's trying to change leadership, and he's an egomaniac, David Hogg. Oh, does he love himself. And he loves to be in front of the camera. And he thinks he can beat conservatives. He thinks he's the future. He still believes in hope and change. But let's see whether or not these old guard Democrats are going to let the kids take the table. I doubt it. I seriously do. They are going to use the Biden to Harris democracy. Yeah, exactly. Laura says Maine is looking to do that too. After they wipe their faces off as they finish eating a Tide Pod. Exactly. I just want to watch it. I want to watch every bit of it. I want to watch it crumble. And while all of this is happening, by the way, David Hogg primarying everybody, where's Chris Murphy? Where's Chrissy at? He's nowhere to be found. I've got an article here. Hold on. Let me grab this from the printer. I totally forgot I had this here. Where's that? Okay, there it is. Let me grab it. Oh, yeah, here it is. They have this list of like the top 5 media hogs. Politico put this out. Chris Murphy. They're calling him the wannabe leader of the #Resistance Award. Talking about how his social media presence is everywhere, getting thousands and thousands of views. Still managing 1% on the list of Democrats who are going to take over in 2028. The guy gained $8 million and still ranks at 1%. Poor guy. Poor guy. If he really wants to be a hero, he could take a break from trying to take out Donald Trump and get rid of Hogg. It'll be easy. Imagine if Chris Murphy gets rid of David Hogg as the vice chair, completely makes him irrelevant. He'd be a hero. Take my advice, Chrissy. Take my advice. You know that's the only way you're going to get a lead. Right now, there's a bad guy in your midst. All you have to do is take him out. I mean, politically, by the way, politically, no violence here. Speaking of violence, we'll talk about Jamie Raskin as well. He's making a couple of threatening statements as of late. We'll also talk about the Connecticut enrollment of international students. Apparently, there's some fear going down. I've got a solution for these colleges that are concerned about enrollment in these schools. yeah, I do know you're going to lose some money, but I do know that you have a considerable endowment, donations that come from the outside. And I've got an idea for you. Maybe this is an opportunity to put your money where your mouth is. You know, you probably could. We'll talk about that as well. And as I also said, we have Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District coming in at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to him about his exchange with a woman trying to keep kids out of jail even when they commit crimes. And we'll talk to him about how that exchange went. I'll play that for you in a little bit. So we got plenty of news, plenty of views. I'll take your phone calls on the opposite side of the break. So stick around for that. And, of course, if you want to send your condolences to Pope Francis, you can do that as well at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Coming up in a little bit, we'll be talking to Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District. I understand he's born in Queens. I would love to find out where. So many Queens people end up in Connecticut. I'm always astonished by that. So I'll ask him about that as well. I have a strange feeling with a name like Fishbein, he's going to be one of two places. I feel like he's going to be in like the White Plains section or somewhere near Astoria. I don't know why, but just something about that name says one of those places. Not that I would really believe with the White Plains area, like near the White Plains Bridge, but there's something in the Astoria, Kew Gardens, like something in that area. I don't know why, but his name just sounds like somebody from that area. We'll find out when he joins the show later on. Let's get to the phones. We got plenty of people calling up, and I appreciate them holding. My watch is telling me to get up. Do you know how active I am? Let's go to Adam in East Hartford. How you doing, buddy?
I'm in a store. Sorry, I'll have to call you back.
That's okay. Call me back. That's fine. We'll go to Jim. We'll go to Jim in Wellington. How we doing, Jim?
Yes, sir. Mr. Hogg, he's going to be around for a little while.
I'm sorry, who?
And, the reason I say that, David Hogg.
Oh, yeah. You said he's going to be around for a while.
I'm sorry. He's going to be around for a little while until the Democratic Party comes up with a group of Congress people and senators and or possible candidates for president that are more moderate. Until they come up with that group, they're going to let this guy go out there and hang himself with this crazy rhetoric and whatever. You know,
I don't think that it's even, you call it crazy rhetoric, but I think you agree with me, Jim. Everything he's saying, it's no different than what we hear from Bernie or AOC. The only difference between him is he's younger than them.
Well, I guess that was in a follow-up. That's exactly right. He's amplifying exactly what the AOCs, Bernie, a bunch of others in the Democratic Party right now, right? And that's not going to fly. That's not even going to fly with Democrats in the last. It's not going to fly. It's not going to fly with the people that go out and vote.
Exactly.
And he reminds me.
He reminds you of who?
I'm sorry. He reminds me a lot of a younger version of Mr. Waltz there. But he reminds this whole pie in the sky philosophy. This craziness that's on the progressive left. I don't know how old you are, but you go back to Gene McCarthy when he ran.
Wow.
The problems that we had in this country. A little bit before that, you had the 1968 convention, the Democratic Party convention in Chicago, what was going on in the country. And you've got that going on in the Democrat right now. It's not as pronounced because the media is covering a lot of it up. You've got it going on that right now. And I think in the end, the David Hoggs of the world and everybody else, Bernie Sanders and everybody else, and even the younger people, it's just going to get wrapped up and it's just going to die and it's into the dustbin of history.
Tell me if you notice this, Jim, and I think that you and I are on the same page here. I believe that this is an internal civil war, and I use that term loosely. I don't think it's a real civil war, but you know what I mean, using the term generically. There's a civil war in the Democrat Party over the same ideas. Maybe their true problem is who delivers it.
Well, I'll tell you what. There is a civil war, but it's not over the same idea. I don't think it's
over
the same ideas. The same ideas. I don't know. If you're telling me that an American citizen who votes and doesn't agree with you, some kind of a domestic terrorist, that to me is not that's what.
No.
David Hogg
I'm
and
sorry.
others like
Let me
to say.
rephrase. I'm saying inside the Democrat Party, everything that they are arguing about amongst each other, they don't seem to be separated. Like, you hear them vaguely say, oh, we can't be ostracizing people who don't agree with us politically. In other words, if they have some problems with the transgender ideology, we can't excise them from the party. If we have some people who have a problem with, like Chris Murphy's talking about, that you can't excise them. The reason why I'm saying that there's a civil war that doesn't make sense has more to do with who carries the message other than the message. Because every time I hear their messaging, it sounds like the last guy they're trying to get rid of.
Okay, well then let me respond this way. You talk about the message. Yes, the message is the same that needs to be brought forth with a better communicator, somebody who's got common sense and who's more moderate to fine tune the message.
Right.
People like David Hogg or any politician like that thinks like David, they can't fine tune anything. They get their thought patterns from a group of information that comes from an AI script or you know what I mean? There's nothing real. There's
Correct.
nothing substantial.
Yeah.
Right? And they're never going to be able to bring anything substantial forward. They're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, because you know what? It doesn't come from an authentic place. You're right. I think the word you used was correct. A script. It isn't authentic. It isn't anything about what they wholeheartedly believe or feel. They've never means tested their ideas. They just know that that's the talking point.
And in closing, I'll say this. And you see it in the way they devour each other.
Yeah.
Once they're no longer useful to each other. And that, you see that. And you can see how it's that devouring of people they throw in the waste heap, how it's getting worse and worse and worse. They're almost doing to themselves what they continue to do to Trump.
Yeah.
And to me, it's laughable. Trump can handle it. These people can't.
No, indeed not. Thanks, Jim. Much appreciated, man. Well done. Thank you. Let's go to Georgie in St. Louis. How we doing, buddy?
Hi, Reese. I want to talk about the stock market.
Yes.
So far, we've lost about $8 trillion. The market's down almost 7,000 points. When the market crashed in 29, it lost 60% of its value, and it took almost 30 years to recover that money. And this is all over tariffs. We're trying to recover old markets that are long gone, and we may never ever get back. It's time we looked at a new technology for everything. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
The time of the flying car is here and now. We have to jump the automobile. It's time for the flying car, where we can get the destinations twice as fast. The first guy out there would say, well, what about crashes? Well, birds fly without crashing. They have their own navigation system. We have to acquire some of that right now. All kinds of new technologies are out there, and the old guys that are retired now have all of this new stuff in their heads. You have to call them out of retirement because the new guys that are running things don't know what to do.
What do you think of? Wait a minute, hold on now, because that's an industry. We've been talking about the the flying car for a better part of 50 years.
Well, you have drones now.
Yeah.
You have drones now. Why did they go to drones without going to flying cars first?
Probably because of its affordability.
But you can get the flying car down to probably the same amount of an expensive.
We could barely get the electric car down.
Car.
The electric car is still considerably.
That's a step. That too is a step in the wrong direction.
Right.
Every time you convert between energy sources, it's inefficient.
But I'll tell you, can I say this, though, about the flying car, though, George? Hold on. Let me tell you this about the flying car. And I think that look, don't get me wrong. I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s.
No, that was an example, but I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm
Getting
sorry.
out new technologies.
Right.
This is a time of new technologies that we have to implement now, not regain some of the old industries that involve tariffs. This is a time where we have to start looking at new technologies and get this economy moving again.
I think
that's what the stock market is looking for.
You're probably right about that, but you know what? With all of the stock market's losses, I should say, I'm not there yet. I'm not there at the panic mode yet. But I totally get where people are, because people are saying, their 401ks are being affected. And again, it's not that that's lost on me. I just think that I'm not there yet. It's just too early. Thank you, George. I appreciate you, buddy. I'm not there yet. I know it sounds callous, but I'm just not there yet. I'm not at the panic mode. I look at that and I go, no, I'm good. And that's because we're long-term investors. Other people, if you've got a 401k, with all due respect, like, how often are you watching the market? So you're a daily market? Are you a day trader in that regard? I don't think so. Not that I'm not belittling. Some of you, I'm sure, are. But I don't think so. I don't think people are checking the market like that. I think they see that number. They see it on television. I think they watch the pundits and they hear the screaming and hollering, look at the market. And they believe it. And when I say believe it, in the sense of, if you see them panicking, you're supposed to. It's a trust thing. So that's the way that I see it. Let's go real quick to Robert in Cheshire. How we doing, Rob?
We're doing well. And as the president of the Chris Murphy fan club, I kind of thought you might have a comment about the PR piece that was ostensibly an analysis in CT Mirror by Mark Pasniokis. I nearly vomited all over this thing. Did you see that?
Which article was this? Was this the breakdown of No, this wasn't the Chris Murphy piece that I think you're talking about. Which one are you talking about?
It's a one. It came out yesterday, I think, maybe even today. It's talking about. It looks as if rather than being vying for an opportunity to be president, that he's now vying for an opportunity to displace the never held a real job Schumer, just exactly the same as Murphy is never held a real job, and David Hogg and all the rest of these clowns.
Right, you're talking about
if you haven't seen it,
the headline that says Chris Murphy's new pugilistic populist.
That's the one.
Yep, I did see it this morning. I've got a whole bunch of stuff with him coming up. I've got everything from the money he's raised to where he sits on the polls. It's a lot of great stuff. And I talked a little bit about it on Sunday's show.
Have fun with that one and the Act Blue connections and those possibilities.
Thank you.
Needs to go.
Yep, you're 100% right. Act Blue. That's exactly what my dissertation of it is today. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Yeah, right on the money. You know, look, Chris Murphy got $8 million. That's what he pulled in, $8 million. He's polling at 1%. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, let me get the exact numbers here, because I put them over the weekend, and I talked a little bit about it on the Sunday show. The voters surveyed who would be the most viable candidate for 2028. Here are the candidates. Out of all of them, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Cory Booker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro. Now, with Kamala Harris in the running, she polls at 18%. Buttigieg, 14%. Cory Booker, 12%. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also 12%. Newsom, 8%. Josh Shapiro, 5%. We all know why Josh Shapiro is 5%. 2 reasons. Said it on my Sunday show. 1, he's Jewish. The Democrat Party has aligned itself with anti-Semites and the Hamas wing of the party. That's why he polls so low. 2nd, they call him the Jewish or white Barack Obama. Barack Obama has lost a lot of flair and influence. So that's not working for Josh Shapiro anymore. So he's done. Gavin, you know why he's at 8? He was a front runner a year ago. He's out because they know he's going to lose. California fires and all. There's no shot for him. Booker, people say that it was that 25-hour speech, but it's Booker. Ugh. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also at 12%. She looks probably the most viable because Pete Buttigieg is not happening. And it's not because he's gay. It's because he's horrible. And then Kamala Harris. Now, when you remove Kamala Harris from this, and this is where it gets crazy, Buttigieg at 17, Booker and Ocasio-Cortez at 14, Newsom rises to 10, and Chris Murphy is at a 1. Why is it important? Chris Murphy, again, $8 million. He was able to fundraise. Many people believe it was through Act Blue. So do I. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got $1 million more than his, $9 million. And she's ranked second. Second? Chris Murphy's down at 1%? Yeah. Something is afoot, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk about that and much more. Plus your phone calls. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio. Ask your doctor if common sense is right for you. On NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Let's see if we can get a little bit of lightning round in here with the good folks. Let's go back to Adam in East Hartford. How we doing, buddy?
Thanks again for taking my call, Reese. Sorry that was in C-Tom.
Not a problem.
American Grocer.
What's going on?
What I called about, I'm going to get another one of those peanut butter and jam bagels, but this time I'm going to get it from the bagel place that isn't heating it up.
Good stuff. Good stuff. How was your Easter, okay?
It wasn't bad, really. I went to my brother's in Dudley, Mass, because I know you know Massachusetts well, over near Webster and Sturbridge.
Yeah, sure. Uh-oh. Adam, Adam, I'm sorry, buddy. You're breaking up badly. I apologize. I'm really sorry. I hate hanging up on people when they're that bad. Let's go to Ralphie in South Carolina. How we doing, Ralph?
Good, Reese. Hanging in Florida right now.
You got it.
Couple of questions, Reese. Why would the Democrats, after getting their heads handed to them, going to spend $20 million to get rid of moderate Democrats and go all nutcases?
That's crazy enough. Do you understand that the radical Democrat Party, and that's of all ages, say that that's what they want more than anything? They believe that they need to be a younger audience. They need a younger audience, and therefore they need a younger message. They can never convey what that is, but they really do believe that they've got too much of the old guard. Nancy, Chuck Schumer, Steny Hoyer, all of those guys, they feel like there are just too many people who are there who've been around too much, and they got to get rid of them.
Well, why is a young communist or a young socialist any better than an old communist and an old socialist?
Because it's about optics with Democrats. This is a great example of what all of this is about. And if I have to, I got to go to race on this one. What is it that they say about Hispanics and blacks? When they find out that they're not on the plantation of liberalism, usually people lose their mind. It's like, wait a minute, you're a conservative, but you're black. Means that identity politics are who they are. So young people are associated with Democrats. So that's why they believe that their party needs to be younger, not smarter, not new ideas. They would rather pay attention to the age of the person instead of what their ideas are, because they think their ideas work. That's the problem. That's just where it is. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Look, let me say this before we go to a break. I've had a debate with every person on the left over this weekend. It's all they could do is contact me and say, Reese, what about this? And Reese, what about that? And my favorite part is when they text me something that a Republican says that agrees with them. You never hear them send me something about a Democrat who agrees with me. In order to qualify or to quantify what they believe, they grab a Republican. See, this Republican, because their ideas, you have to come to their side of the table or else. They don't think their ideas don't work. Doesn't matter if they're vetted, doesn't matter if they're means tested. Agree with us or else. Sorry. Let's get our first check of the weather and traffic on the show. Jason Caterina is here with the weather, and my good friend Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Coming up in a minute or so, a little more than 5 minutes, we're going to be talking to Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District. And he's originally from Queens. I don't know if you heard earlier. I'm going to ask him about where in Queens he's from, because, of course, yours truly is from Hollis. But I have this strange feeling, so I know he's listening. He can hear my voice because he's on hold right now. I have a strange feeling he's from somewhere near the White Plains section of Queens or somewhere around Astoria, maybe Kew Gardens, like maybe one of those areas with his last name. That's only because I know I'm probably going to be completely off the rails here, but just because of that last name, I remember the first time I ever heard that last name, and it was from one of those two regions. I just can't remember where, but we'll ask when we get on here. We'll talk to him also about that conversation he had with a woman by the name of Christina Carrera, I think is how you pronounce her name. Let me give you a little snippet of it. Maybe we'll play it for him as well. But this is him talking to her about car theft, and she's an advocate for keeping kids out of jail.
So now the first stealing of a motor vehicle is disposed of as dismissed because they did the diversionary program.
Okay.
The second one, the JRB says do pay restitution, which has got to come from the parents, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
How does the juvenile court dispose of that case?
I think I'd have to look to see where that is in statute of what the next step is in the map. What happens if somebody can't pay for something? Are people's wages garnished? What goes on? Is there a different agreement that's made with the person who you harmed? I know that in the past, some people have come back to the table and said, we cannot pay for this.
So you can see the what she's an advocate for is for these children not to be put away. And I guess what Fishbein is trying to ascertain from this advocate is, what are we going to do about these teenagers who are committing crimes like this? There's no restitution for them. We can't put them in prison. What do you suggest that we do? We'll talk to him about all of that to get sort of a breakdown of what he was trying to do. I'm just going to see if I could give him just a little bit of advice. You know, as the old saying goes, I've got some, here's some advice, I'm not using it. I'm going to see if I can get him to take some advice from Reese on the radio when we return. Again, Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District will be with us after the break. Let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Catarinas and the aforementioned Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
President of the Chris Murphy Fan Club, Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC, as the big voice just said. And without further ado, our guest today is Representative of the 90th District, Mr. Craig Fishbein. How we doing, Rep?
Hey, Reese, how are you?
I am pretty good. So, look, let's get to the most important matter at hand, okay? Where in Queens are you from?
Well, you know, I had to go ask my father because I was 3 when we came to Connecticut.
Wow.
He tells me, he tells me Elmhurst.
Okay, no doubt. Elmhurst, Queens. I used to live in Elmhurst. That your dad will probably remember the J train in Elmhurst. Yeah, I know Elmhurst very, very well. So you've been in Connecticut. I mean, you might as well call you a homeboy in Connecticut. I mean, if you lived here since you were 3 years old, you know nothing about Queens at all. Have you ever?
That is absolutely true. I don't think I've ever been to Queens since then. Yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay. All right, so let's get to this matter at hand. You and I have never spoken before, but I did watch this video. It went pretty viral on X. And the reason why I plucked this audio was because you got to have this back and forth with this young lady who is an advocate for, I guess we might as well just call it what it is. She does not want to see prison time for young offenders. Is that fair to say from your conversations with her?
Yeah, it's fair. That individual as well as many individuals in Hartford. Yeah.
Now, her name is Christina Quaranta. I apologize. I'm pronouncing it poorly. I tried to get her on this show. She never answered my calls, probably for good reason, because I don't think she had much of a defense. This back and forth with her that you had, I played a little bit of it earlier, was you were pretty much breaking down that the way the system is laid out for juveniles, especially with stealing cars, which is run amok in the state, that there is nothing for the person who loses a car. At one point, you suggest somebody loses their car. It's a $15,000 loss. The car may be trashed, may be destroyed, or they never get it again. They catch the perpetrator, and they may do this several times, but there's never any recourse for the victim. That was your point, right? It was like, okay, what do we do now?
Yeah, the legislation that was before us, it's HB 1542, prevented the arrest of anybody 14 years younger for anything other than a Class A or a B felony. You know, and in our exchange, she points out to me that we have escalated charges for successive stealing of a motor vehicle. So I was bringing her through that analysis and showing her that progressive penalty would not apply to a juvenile if they can't be arrested.
Right.
So that was the point. Yeah.
And why is it that there isn't any arrest? Is it because of the age? And is there what's the solution if we can't arrest them, right? If we can't put them in, obviously through the prison system, I get that. What is the recourse of the state?
Well, you know, thankfully that legislation did not make it through committee, mostly through a lot of cross-examination. Mm-hmm. But what would have been proposed, the result of that, there would have been no remedy, especially for victims. So, you know, a kid could steal a car every day of the week and they could not be arrested. They would not be part of the system. And you know, there are advocates in this state that want it to be that way, unfortunately.
Why do you think that is? Is this restorative justice? Is this particular because, I mean, let's be honest, is there a racial component into this? Is this a part of the whole restorative justice for minorities in the state?
I don't believe so. Okay. I mean, I can tell you that I have learned over my many years in the legislature a lot about a two-tiered or a multi-tiered criminal justice system that I think did exist at one point, mm-hmm. But is virtually nil as far as I can see. I think the driver here is ultimately Karl Marx didn't want people to have personal property. Right. Everything should be owned by the government. So the more personal property that is recognized is counter to those moving forces that want a different sort of governmental system in this state and this country. So fostering criminal activity works right into that mindset.
Yeah, but okay. I understand, and I don't want to call it a dodge, but I get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions here. I understand where you're coming from. You would sooner put this on a socialist ideology rather than a racial one. However, let's just call a spade here. Christina Quintara is speaking directly to, and that's her mission. She speaks about this vocally, about how the disenfranchised in the state of Connecticut, from Black Lives Matter 860 to every activist group in the state, is primarily trying to protect the what they believe is the two-tiered justice system that treats certain people based upon their ethnicity different than they treat others. That's what they believe. So I don't think that's on your level. I don't think that's something that you're trying to get victims restitution and how do we solve that. And you're looking at this from a completely pure and natural state. I get that and I believe that of you. But these individuals like Christina Quintara are coming from a completely different point of view and a very nefarious one. Do you think that resistance to see where they are coming from is helpful, if you get my meaning?
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand where they're coming from. Okay. Ultimately, the goal is no matter what anybody does out there to anybody else, that there is no prison time, and mm-hmm. that's just untenable. Right. As you mentioned about victims' rights and things like that, you know, we've done a lot in the legislature. 2019, we created a diversionary program specifically for juveniles who stole their first car, because there wasn't a program before then.
Right.
They could take classes and their case gets dismissed at the end so long as they complete those classes. I'm in support of those restorative sort of thing. In fact, when I was a young man, I think I was 21 or something like that, I got arrested for drunk driving. I went through one of those programs. My case got dismissed, and I saw the benefit of that.
Right.
That should be enough. But to then take it to the nth and say, even though we have these programs, that kids that go through that program still steal a car, that they can't be arrested, just doesn't make any logical sense.
Right. Why do you think, and hear me out here, because this is the part that I don't seem to understand as far as the legislature is concerned, and that is they seem to be groveling or kowtowing to constituents who play no role in their existence. What do I mean by that? Protecting kids or protecting constituents who are going to commit crimes and never end up at the ballot box. I always believe that there should be some sort of representation in our elected officials by those who are the victimized. If you know what I mean? So I feel like the legislature in Connecticut seems to be catering to people who never show up at the ballot box. That seems like hustling backwards to me. What is that about? Is it about PR? Is it about looking good on the pages of the Hartford Courant or getting profiles of courage on WFSB? What am I missing here?
Well, I think it starts with the dynamic of the divide. I mean, the Republicans in Hartford, it's a 1/3, 2/3 split.
Right.
So, not all Democrats are in favor of these policies. We do have some moderates, but they are the minority up there.
Indeed.
And ultimately the goal is for them to get reelected. So if they feel that, and that's where the money comes from, advocates that just want nobody to go to jail, I would think those are the things that they support. And I see that overly in Hartford all too often.
If you're just joining us, I haven't even reintroduced you. Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District is on the line with us. We're talking about his exchange with a young woman by the name of Christina Quaranta, I'm pronouncing it badly, who was in a discussion with him about, I guess, recidivism and penalties for young offenders who steal vehicles. Where are we right now with juvenile crime in the state? Is it up? Is it down? Are programs helping? Where are we in that space?
Well, it's interesting because 2015 is where we started the turn back the age sort of stuff. And since then, juvenile crime has really gone up. In, I think it was 2019, pre-pandemic, property crimes committed by juveniles I think we were the 4th highest in the country.
Wow.
On that. And then we went into the pandemic and motor vehicle thefts by juveniles increased. Still trending that way. This year, things are down, but we're going into summer.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to see a lot of that stuff happen, because kids don't have a lot of stuff to do in the summer, and some people think that stealing cars is a good activity. I know when I was a kid, I wouldn't even think twice about it. As far as the programs that we have, the for kids that get into the system, my understanding is that Connecticut has more programs than any other state in the country.
Very true.
I have reached out to the 3 pockets. In fact, I was talking with Christina. Christina has a colleague, Aurora is her name. Speaking with Aurora, I'd like to try and put DCF, the judicial branch, and the Department of Corrections together in evaluating those programs. What do they do? What is the efficacy rate? What is the recidivism rate? Unfortunately, we don't have a report to that extent.
I'm noticing that.
Millions of dollars.
I'm noticing that every time I have a conversation. I just had a conversation recently about DCF, and no one has heard. We got no reports, because everyone says that DCF has an overload of a client overload with the social workers that are there. Yet I hear no conversation. I had to ask. I can't remember who the rep was or the senator. I asked the senator what was the level of which they were getting these referrals. In other words, what did we have an uptick in? Was it abuse? Was it drug abuse? Was it alcoholism in the family? What were the reasons that they were being overloaded with this? Let me ask you this last one. Do you think truancy plays a huge role in some of these thefts and property damage? Do you think that there's a correlation in those?
I definitely do. And certainly we saw truancy rise to dramatic levels during the pandemic. I think truancy in New Haven was at 50%.
Yeah.
There was just a case in North Haven last week where during daylight hours, I think there were two 13-year-olds and a 14-year-old with ski masks stole a car.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there saying, why aren't they in school? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think so.
Well, so the legislation never passed. You don't have to worry about that now. I'm assuming that we shouldn't have to worry about this anytime soon. Are there any other hearings about this? Are there other things that are trying to be done? And can you come back here and let us know if we can get an audit on these programs, on the recidivism and what efforts they are actually making, like whether or not they're having a success? Can you come back to us and let us know what you find?
Oh, absolutely. And on this 1542 bill, there was a second part of the bill that precluded the use of handcuffs on juveniles, anybody 14 and under. That portion did survive. That is live. The problem with that, quite frankly, as I pointed out during the public hearing, a police officer shows up at a fight at a school.
Yeah.
And, is going to separate everybody and do their investigation who did what. How do they know who's 14 and under?
Exactly.
They don't carry ID. So it's another thing where they're just throwing this thing out there. We don't want, cops involved with kids, but it doesn't make logical sense.
Stand by real quick, Representative. Just stand by real quick. We'll do this bottom of the hour break, and I'll bring you up on that last point for a couple of minutes if you don't mind waiting. Just stick around for me real quick. Let me put you on hold. We're on the phone with Representative Craig Fishbein of the 90th District. We'll talk to him a little bit more after we get back with weather and traffic with Jason Catarinas and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, man.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Okay, we're back. Let me get back to Representative Craig Fishbein, the 90th District. Thank you for holding on. I just want to hold you up for a couple of seconds. So you said that there is another bill that doesn't want to put juveniles in handcuffs. What is this, 14 and under?
Yeah, it says beginning at the point of initial contact with a police officer, no pre-adjudicated child under 14 years of age may be restrained using handcuffs. That's, it's another initiative. They just want to make it more and more difficult for police officers and things like that. But my point is that 14-year-olds don't carry ID.
Yeah, there's no way to know.
The advocates will just they'll tell the 18-year-old kids, well, just tell the cops that you're 14 and, then they can't use cuffs on you. And,
who's the author of this bill or this proposal? Who's the author?
Well, in the Judiciary Committee, nothing comes under somebody's actual name. They're raised as committee bills.
Okay.
but I will almost guarantee you that it comes from what is known as the JJPOC, the Juvenile Justice Policy Commission, which is a group of advocates, stakeholders that
lobbyists
usually advocate for those things. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, JJPOC. That's all I need to know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is that a Washington Nationals hat?
Yeah. Well, you're watching me. Yes. Now, hold on. Now, listen to me. You have to understand that while you're looking at this, okay? Every place I've ever lived in my life working in radio, that team has won a World Series. Every one of them. When I first got to Hartford, when I got to Hartford in 2001, we broke the 86-year curse. When I got to D.C., then not only did Nationals win, but the Capitals won in hockey. So anytime I move to a town, they win. So I celebrate those teams because when I move there, I make champions.
There you go. Well, yeah, I'm watching you on Rumble. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, thank you. You see, at least I put your likeness up here so that everybody can get a good look at you. You played football, I have a feeling, didn't you?
No, I play hockey. I play ice hockey at least twice a week.
Oh, no doubt. Okay.
So,
yeah, I'm a big hockey guy myself, and I'm actually watching the Capitals this Stanley Cup playoffs, seeing if they can do it again. It'd be nice to see, especially because after OV finally got the record, the Gretzky record, it'd be nice to see him win it again. So.
Well, being a Ranger fan, I think the Washington Capitals have had enough glory this season. So. Oh,
come on! Really, the Rangers? Yeah, I'm not gonna I watched that Messier championship. That was before I even got into hockey. Messier got me into hockey, so I will always credit him with getting me into a sport I wasn't into before he became very popular in it, I should say. So I'm a big fan of that.
Well, I have to mention that 94 Stanley Cup championship changed my life.
Did it?
I was a college dropout.
Wow.
And they inspired me to go back to school. I'm looking at right now, I've got a signed picture of Messier with the cup in my Capitol office. I've got Ranger stuff everywhere. They changed my life. Nope.
Hey, you know what? Good on you. Even though I will say, as a Connecticut representative with New York hockey gear, that takes guts, my friend. I'm just saying.
I'm a Boston Red Sox fan on the other side.
Well, all right. Well, that'll redeem you every day. Representative Craig Fishbein, thank you, sir. I appreciate your time today.
You too. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. All right, let's get another check of the weather and traffic with Jason Catarina and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center. You're a Messier fan, Mark.
Mark Messier fan?
Yeah.
You know what? I like him on television. I like his commentary.
I like his commentary,
he won the
too.
Stanley Cup with the Rangers.
Rangers, sure.
So, yeah, I like him. How can you not like Messier? He's a good dude.
I think he is.
Yeah, I do, too. I like him. Like I said, I like him when I'm watching him on television. His commentary, I like his commentary.
The self-proclaimed love child of Rush Limbaugh.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Let me give it up again for Representative Craig Fishbein. By the way, Craig, just so you know, when I say that Reese on the radio's presence always wins championships, just to show you exactly how great my presence is. 2004, Hartford, Connecticut, working at Power 104, 86-year slump over. I come back to Boston in 2007 in October. Red Sox win again, working for our former sister station up there. Everywhere I go. And by the way, I can never, ever help the Washington Wizards win a championship. It's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. They are a garbage basketball team. That's never, ever going to happen. So I just want to say, and by the way, I knew it based on his name. I said that Fishbein's last name was either Astoria or the White Plains area of Queens. He said Elmhurst, which is, mark it, look it up yourself, 16 minutes away from Astoria, Queens. 16 minutes away. 4.2 miles. So, applaud myself. I just know that name. Just say it just does. I just know that name, and it just sounds like something from that section of Queens, so it's good to know that we're there. We'll get into the stupidest thing I read today, but let me get you quickly to my good friend Matt in Bristol. How are you, sir?
Okay.
Matt?
Hello, Mr. Hopkins. How you doing,
Pretty good, sir. What's going on?
Well, it took so long on hold. I'm 40 feet in the air right now, so.
What you got?
So two really quick things. One, the difference between a young socialist and an old socialist is just like a kid sitting on Santa's lap. A 25-year-old is going to ask for one thing. A 55-year-old is going to ask for something completely different. That's the only difference.
Okay. So in essence, they're still going to ask for something.
Yeah, they still want something free. It's just what they want for free is going to be completely different.
Good point. Good point. What was the other point?
Oh, the other point, isn't IDing someone to handcuff them racist because black people can't get IDs? I've heard that somewhere.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. I did not think of that. That's a good point. Look, I think this group, JJPOC, I'm going to look into them to find out what they're trying to do here. And I do believe that their mission is restorative justice, but I want to get them on the record to just stand by it. You know, I know what they're trying to do. They're saying that these kids, because they know that criminal activity is going to ruin their lives, and therefore, with certainty, they're not going to be able to advance in life. So instead of dealing with the problem, they'll just completely eradicate any opportunity for them to pay for their crimes. So in essence, it's just permissible behavior, which is exactly where we're going anyway.
And I think really what it comes down to is them, once again, they have the good heart in mind, but they don't really think it through to the inevitable end.
Yeah.
On how is the police officer going to tell the difference? They don't really think it through. It's good in theory, but not in practice.
Yeah, exactly, which is, again, their ideas never being means tested, as it were. Okay, I'm going to get off because you got a lot of wind going on, Matt. Let me get to another call. Let's go to David calling all the way in San Francisco. How we doing, David?
Well, not too bad. I wish I could have gotten on with your representative there. You know, in 1776, Connecticut was one of the 13 colonies and very important part of it. And we've got our 250th anniversary coming up. Hypothetically, it just started 2 days ago with the anniversary of Lexington and Concord. And I noticed that last Tuesday, Elon Musk cut the budget for it, and he cut it by 80%. So I don't understand. You're familiar with marketing. Marketing pays. Marketing creates opportunity and jobs and all sorts of stuff. How in the world is cutting the budget on America's 250th anniversary, our birthday, how is that efficient?
I think you're conflating a little bit, but let's start with the latter point you made. Marketing does create financial opportunity, but that's not the government's role. The government is a zero-sum game. They never create wealth. They're not here to create wealth. They're here to take wealth. That's its job, correct? So you're saying that marketing from an apparatus that is to take your wealth in order to enrich itself, how can it then enrich us? It's circular. There's no way that marketing in the government. So I don't see any government using that fund to have a celebration, a benefit to the United States or a benefit to private citizens in any way. If you want to hold a celebration, your local government.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
No, I know you think it's stupid.
You mean you're saying that the celebrating of our anniversary, our 250th anniversary, that there wouldn't be hundreds of different events, concerts, speeches, lectures, all sorts of different things.
Where would they be held? Where would they be held?
Well, America's got lots of places to
of course.
hold these.
So in essence, in Washington,
why would Elon Musk cut the budget on our budget?
I'm about to explain it to you, David. So let's talk about this 250th celebration in Seattle. Do you think that the federal government should pay for that? celebration in Seattle?
You're getting into an interesting con that the Federalist Society claims. They say that
see, now hold on, David. With all due respect, I did ask a question. I answered yours. You're talking about the federal government financing a party for our 250th anniversary, and you said cutting that budget was in some way detrimental to the idea of celebrating 250 years. It's not money that we're going to be spending in one place and everybody's going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. to celebrate 250 years of that anniversary. My question to you is, you can't get to Washington, D.C. to celebrate the 250th anniversary. More than likely, it's going to be celebrated locally, just like the 4th of July is. Who should foot the bill to that? Every taxpayer outside of Seattle paying for Seattle's, or should it be Seattle footing the bill?
Well, what we're talking about is the history of America being recreated, and by cutting it by 80% to the states and hogging the other 20% to Washington, D.C., that means that Trump is going to write the history.
Considering the premise that you just made, David, you said that Donald Trump, you've already decided what's being done with that budget. You have no confirmation. You have nothing to substantiate what you just said. You just know that the budget's being cut, and that's it. Now you're all of a sudden you're casting aspersions as to where the money's going to go or what Donald Trump's going to do with it, and then went so far as to say Donald Trump is going to tell the rest of us our history. Donald Trump doesn't have any control over our history, no more than he has it over me, no more than he has it over you. You have listen, Donald Trump isn't going to invade your living room and tell you the 250-year anniversary of the United States, is he? Is he going to reach into your television and tell you what your history is? No, he's not.
So Project 2025 has already written our history, right?
Again, wait. So you're saying
Project 2025, aren't you, Reese?
So wait a minute. So you're saying that Project 2025?
You're kissing up to traitors.
No.
Reese?
So now you're telling me. Now you're telling me that Project 2025 has reached into every person's home and has changed their history. Tell me a little bit more about how Project 2025, a book, has now changed my history that I can't figure it out for myself. That I have to leave it to the federal.
Project 2025 is only a book?
David, you're trying to say. David, I'm not going to go so far as to call you dumb, but I am going to say this. You are saying that I have no control of the information that I gather because of Project 2025. You are saying that I have no way to find out my history, whether it be my black history or my Mexican history or my Irish history, the history that I do know that I found out about through my mother and through her ancestry. You're saying that none of that is ever going to be accessible to me because the government has decided to take 80% of the budget and not celebrate our 250th anniversary. And you don't think that you should see a chiropractor because you are breaking your back in order to make that reach.
You're making a lot of assumptions, and at the same time, why would Elon Musk, a foreigner from South Africa,
David,
a supporter of apartheid, why would he get to write American history?
Dave, you have a problem with foreigners? So I'm assuming
I have a problem with
you have a problem with foreigners?
Who's a Nazi.
Wait.
I have a support.
You have a problem with foreigners?
I have a problem with a guy whose father was a supporter of Nazis.
Okay.
Why in the hell
Wait.
would
Let's
I
start with.
support
We'll get to
Elon
the
Musk?
Nazi stuff in a minute, Dave. David, you said that you have a problem with foreigners. So I'm assuming that you're with the 58% of Americans who want to get every illegal out of the country, right? Because you got a problem with foreigners, right?
No, I have a problem with Nazis. I have a problem with Nazis.
How about
that pretend
MS-13?
that
Do you have a
doing-
problem with MS-13? Should they be allowed to
I
stay?
have a problem with. You going to let me finish? I have a problem with Nazis who pretend that they're doing America a service.
Okay. What about MS-13?
MS-13 is a gang, right?
Do they murder and kill people? Compared to Elon Musk, who's committed more crimes? Who's committed more crimes, MS-13 or Elon Musk? Who's committed more personal harm to people?
I know that Donald Trump is organized crime, and he's trying to wipe out the other gangs that that compete against him. Right?
You cannot answer the question, Dave, you reveal
I just answered your question.
David, no, you didn't.
Donald Trump is trying to crush his opposition.
Yes, as he should.
The other gangs.
As he should. As he should.
Right.
He should crush his opposition. I'm down with that. So I'm going to say it to you again, David, when you can't answer the question that I've asked you, who's committed more crimes in this country? MS-13 or MS-13.
Stop lying, Reese.
Then answer my question. MS-13 or Elon Musk? Who's killed more people in this country?
Well, Elon Musk, just by cutting USAID, killed a whole lot of people all over the world.
Well,
right?
really? We should be seeing those deaths on television every day.
Well, let's see. Wasn't there Sudan trying to cure AIDS, and he cut their budget a month and a half
Trying
ago?
to cure AIDS? What are you talking about? Magic Johnson is still alive. We both, but clearly cured AIDS. What are you talking about? Hold on. So there's genocide in Sudan? Shoot. Breaking news, folks.
You think you're funny, do you, Reese? You must be an S&M freak.
David, do
Donald
I
Trump's
think
pals
I'm
are
funny?
S&M freak, right?
David, do I think I'm funny? I'm hilarious.
Right.
That's a
and
fact.
you're delusional, too. Why is Elon Musk trying to change the history for America? Why is he trying to crush our 250th anniversary? Why did he cut the budget on the 250th birthday of America?
Okay, I'll answer you. Do you want my answer? Okay.
No, but I'll listen.
Oh, well, then you don't want my answer, but okay, you'll listen anyway. So I'll tell you why. Because it's unnecessary government waste. And I'm good with that.
You are such a fool, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, again, David, you're under this impression that I need to impress you or in some way persuade you. I don't care what you think. It's not of some detriment to me that you disagree with me. I'm not crestfallen or heartbroken that you believe differently. I'm okay with that. I accept you for who you are. I accept you for what you believe. All I want you to do is think. See, you're trying to tell me that I'm dumb and that I'm stupid. I'm just trying to tell you that I don't agree
No,
with
I'm
you.
saying you're a
No,
traitor.
sir, you said
I didn't.
Exactly. I still haven't cast any aspersions
I
on
asked
you.
you if you were a fool, but I said you were a traitor.
Yes,
Because
okay.
anybody that kisses up to Trump is kissing up to organized crime, and they've had 10 years to know it, and they still kiss
Said
up to
the
him,
guy
so
who
they
probably
must be
voted
part
for
of
the
organized
Clintons.
crime.
Probably the guy who voted for the Clintons. Corruption. Stop it. Let's take a break. Jason Caterina's got your weather, and Mark Christopher's in the BPS Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we got delayed, so let's do it now.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
Do you like dogs? Are you a dog person? Maybe you don't even have a dog, and you want a dog. Maybe your friend has a dog. Your neighbor has a dog, and you become quite friendly with that dog. But nonetheless, you love dogs. Well, I've got bad news for those people on the left. Many people say that this could be the thing that destroys the Democrat Party and the climate change activists more than they realize. From Mother Jones, headline, bad news for man's best friend. Dogs are environmental villains. This is bad. Dogs have extensive and multifarious environmental impacts, disturbing wildlife, polluting waterways, and contributing to carbon emissions, new research finds. An Australian review of existing studies has argued that the environmental impact of owned dogs is far greater, more insidious, and more concerning than is generally recognized. While the environmental impact of cats is well known, the comparative effect of pet dogs has been poorly acknowledged, the research said. The review, published in the Journal of Pacific Conservative Biology, highlighted the impacts of the world's commonest large carnivore in killing and disturbing native wildlife, particularly shorebirds. So what they're saying in this article is that your dog is killing the environment and therefore you shouldn't have a dog anymore. That's it. No more dogs. You want to protect the environment, man's best friend must go. Oh, baby. Well, this was in concert with another publication called The Guardian, Todd. So not just Mother Jones, but apparently there's this group who put this together. Let's get a check of the weather and traffic, and I'd love to hear from both of these men, Jason Caterina and Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Mark, I know you have a dog, right?
2 dogs.
Okay.
2 dogs, so I'm killing the environment? Or
yes,
killing
apparently
the earth?
you're doing double duty in
geez.
affecting climate change because you have 2 dogs. And from what I can gather, you got 2 big dogs.
No, they're they're like 35 and 45 pounds, so
okay,
they're medium-sized.
They're medium-sized.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're doing a considerable amount of damage because of that. This is crazy. Come on.
So after these guys go, no more dogs?
No more. That's what they're telling everybody. They're saying that your dogs are hurting the environment.
Who's making this claim now?
According to this study, which was done by some group called the Pacific Conservation Biology. That's what they're called. Okay. So, they are saying that your man's best friend is actually, and because they eat meat, because they're carnivores, they are actually hurting the environment for you. Cats are better. Dogs, a no-no.
Well, I love my 2 guys, and my guys are going nowhere. So
that's what I said. I told him. I said, environmentalists, you went across the. I mean, we're talking about the sacred ground here. I don't know.
Seriously, most dogs. 99% of the dogs are better than most human beings.
Hey, that's what I hear.
In my opinion.
That's what I hear.
It's so true. It is so true.
Reese on the radio is getting ready to drop some knowledge on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Let's go right to the phones, 860-522-WTIC. Also coming up, what's with all the weekend warriors? All the people showing up on Saturday to protest. You know, someone said this. I can't remember who it was, but you know, if freedom and democracy were on the line, if the world were coming to a crashing end because of the Trump administration, why is it that you bozos only can find time on Saturday at 12 noon to rally? I mean, you guys are supposed to be saving democracy, but apparently you take furloughs. What's that about? I can't take you seriously if you can't rally on a Tuesday at 9, you're showing up at noon on a Saturday. How is that radical? Really? And then you abruptly you come out 2 or 3 hours and then you're gone. You're supposed to be saving the world. Saving us. It's crazy out there. If Donald Trump gets his way, it'll be bedlam. Bedlam, I tell you. So meet us at noon on Saturday. Rain date at the bottom. What if it's storming? We'll get together on another date. That's okay. Democracy will have to be saved on another sunny weekend. Are you sure it can wait? Of course it can. We'll see you 3 Saturdays from today. Yeah, absolutely. Be here promptly at 12 noon. Protests will be ending at 3. And don't forget to get your perfect and beautifully prepared finger sandwiches. These people are the worst. Saving democracy one weekend at a time. 860-522-WTIC. Dave's in Ellington. How we doing, Dave?
Let me tell you something. The first thing they would do, well, I got health insurance, I got everything I need. You know what? I'm in the reserves. Yeah, the first thing they would do is run.
Who would run?
The guys that were in the reserves. I'm just in here for...
Okay, wrong subject. He's all over the place. Let's go to Tom and Thomas then. Hey, Tom.
Hey, hello. Hey, just a little backup against that guy. Some of the reports were that some of the best fighting units in the last couple of years were National Guard units.
Yes.
So I don't think they run. Maybe Tim Waltz, he's a runner.
Yes, he is a runner.
What a nice gentleman that man was in his debate with you. He was such a kind old sport.
Listen, it's always about, the, what is it called? The personal destruction of your opposition when you don't agree. They couldn't answer a simple question as to suggesting that my history is going to be controlled by Donald Trump and his tentacles in the White House. Knock it off. It's such a stupid line, and I'm done with it. That is what I expect from the so-called Ivy League Howard University theologists. They're dumb and they're pointless, and I laugh at them every time that they speak to me about that. Your history is being controlled by the government. I'm like, so you can't get down to the library, you bum? It's like, you can't pick up a book on your own.
Reese, where did what am I saying?
Where did that talking point come from?
The word that Musk's father is a Nazi.
Yeah.
Where did all that?
Okay.
Is there any truth to that?
No, not only is there no truth to it, it's ridiculous. Now, his father was abusive. When his mother, now again, that's another thing that people keep forgetting when they talk about this, and Dave should know better. His mother took Elon away from his dad because his dad was physically abusive to her. Whether or not he was a Nazi sympathizer or an apartheid sympathizer, Elon completely abhors his father. He loves his mother. His mother had the courage to take him out of that home, out of that house, and to protect him from his violent father. So Elon has no association with his father. And whatever that bozo said, there's no truth to that. So saying that, in fact, what was it? Joy Behar was forced on The View to retract that comment that he was an apartheid supporter in the 80s because legal said not only there's no truth to it, but he would have been too young, and that's ridiculous. So it's like...
And even if his father was a Nazi, that doesn't mean he was.
No.
He was his own man.
That's, what, you just said something great, Tom, and it reminds me of this story. Let me tell it real brief to you. It's a great story. So Thomas Sowell and Al Sharpton were at Sylvia's soul food restaurant in Harlem, and they're having a conversation. And Thomas Sowell tells Al Sharpton, yesterday I got a visit from this woman who said that she was suing me because of my father. And Al Sharpton looked at him and said, what do you mean she's suing you because of your father? Well, apparently my father was a mean person, and he disrespected her, and he called her all types of names and whatnot. And so Al Sharpton says to Thomas Sowell, hasn't your father been dead for 30, 40 years? And he's like, yeah. She goes, and what's she suing you for? Well, she is suing me for the actions of my father and the way that my father treated her mother. And she's saying that she should sue me for my father's deeds. And so Al Sharpton looks at him and he says, that's crazy. She can't sue you for things that your father did. And Thomas Sowell looks at Al Sharpton and says, that's exactly what white people think when you go on MSNBC and tell them that they are owed reparations.
That's perfect.
Exactly.
That guy's a winner, man. Thomas Sowell, he's excellent.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you. Let's go to White Mike. What's going on, sir?
Hey, man. So I kind of missed the show. What was your topic of the day? Anything fun?
Yeah, kind of. We were talking about the young, the David Hogg. Exactly. In fact, this is right in your wheelhouse because David Hogg is from your neck of the woods. He went to Marjorie Stoneman High School, and he was a part of course, that Parkland shooting there. And he is pretty fancied himself now as the vice chair of the Democrat Party. And he is spending $20 million to unseat prominent Democrats who he believes aren't carrying the torch well enough. So we were talking about how the Democrat Party has asked for this because they said they want young blood.
Well, you know my feelings on David Hogg.
No, actually, I don't.
He is somebody's boy toy to get into this position. That's whose Maytag he is, but that boy ain't straight. But anyway, here's a good one. The convicted felon mushmouth moron who's the spokesman for the Anthony family.
Yes.
Is possibly getting sued by Kyle Rittenhouse.
No way. That's right. Now, I think I know a little bit about this, but explain. Because I hear he has suggested something about Kyle Rittenhouse in some of his speeches or his public comments.
Yeah, so this guy is one of these idiots who still thinks that Trayvon Martin was an innocent person and Mike Brown had his hands up.
Right.
This idiot in front of the cameras during the press conference and said, Kyle Rittenhouse took an AK-47 and shot 3 people in the back. It's like, no, dummy. It was an AR-15. He shot a pedophile in the front who was trying to grab his rifle.
Have it on camera.
He shot a guy who hit him with a and then he shot a guy in the arm who was pointing a gun at him.
Yep.
So Rittenhouse has said it's time to sue him for, what would that be, slander, defamation?
Yeah, I would think it'd be a little bit of both. And talk about a complete mischaracterization of the facts, because every person that Kyle Rittenhouse shot is on camera.
Yeah, and they were all white. I don't know why black people are still angry about this. He shot a Jewish pedophile and 2 crackers.
Wait. Here's the crazy part. Wait. MSNBC on the weekend show 2 weekends ago, they were on the air saying that Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 black men.
Good God.
Yeah.
So, look, at the point, with him, I think he's just stupid. Like, I think that guy's dumb. I mean, I always say a lot of people are dumb. I think that dude's legitimately stupid. Like, he's Forrest Gumpian in his intelligence. But for MSNBC to say that, who said it? Was it one of
I don't remember. It was one of the lesser-known weekend hosts. And then I saw it on another podcast that someone had referred to it as well, saying, and nobody corrected him. Nobody corrected him. Know darn well that there were no African Americans. That was reported even before we had the video footage of the shooting.
And, yeah, they had this rally at Kuykendall High School in Frisco this weekend where the J6 guy, Jake Lang, who I don't trust that guy at all. I don't trust him. He just screams of shady, where he says he's ethnically Jewish but washed in the blood of Christ, and he's calling for all this stuff. And I'm like, buddy, I don't trust you at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to you. You seem like a bad man.
There's a lot of all over the place on that one.
The only place I give him credit is he did call out Metcalf's father and told him he was weak.
I saw
that.
You
should condemn the boy who killed your son. And you know what? Yeah, that guy's a P word, man. If somebody stabbed your son, your response should be like Samuel Jackson in The Time to Kill or Mel Gibson in Rant.
I'm with you. Listen,
you need to be
let me say something to you on that one. I saw that too. At first, I was starting to feel a little bit of empathy for Metcalf's dad because he kind of felt like that protest had been taken in his son's name without his permission. I get where he's trying to not invoke or get involved in the racial component here. But unfortunately for Metcalf's father, what he's not realizing here is that, you know what, there's a time to control the message, and there's some times when the message makes you have to respond. And this kid, Carmelo Anthony's family, they're making this about race, regardless of what Metcalf's dad is doing. He's going to make this going to be made racial without his permission.
What really got me was he was angrier at Jake Lang for holding this rally than he was at Carmelo Anthony for murdering his son.
So true.
So I can't respect this guy.
I
can't respect
him.
I
agree with you. I agree with you there. I agree with you there. But I think that what he's trying to show is some empathy so that the media doesn't turn on him. And I think he's treading in the wrong direction. I agree.
Buddy, if he'd stood up and said, I hope that boy doesn't leave county jail alive, millions of people in this country would clap and cheer. He needs to be a man.
But he doesn't want to
quit being.
I know he doesn't want to. Again, he doesn't want to rock that boat because again, the racial component in this is far more, let's just say, scary for a guy like him. They called him an apologist, but for him, I don't think he's not prepared to take on that fight. I don't think he is.
Well,
not that I agree with him.
Let's see how race riots go in Texas. Just saying.
We'll see. That's going to be an interesting conversation. Thank you, boss man. Yeah, that's going to be. Look, this kid, Austin Metcalf's dad. He knows exactly what the media is going to turn this into. They're going to villainize his son. and they're going to villainize him. And there are people, as I said in the opening of the show, who believe that the media have that kind of power. I remember what Malcolm X said. You know, the media has the power to make an innocent man a criminal and a criminal the innocent man. They just do. And if the media decides to turn on Mr. Metcalf, there's nothing he can do about it. But he has got to stop living his life based upon what the media. You don't be a media sensation. Do not let the media create you. Because media creating you, that will be your undoing. If they have that kind of power, they will dismantle you. This is why I couldn't understand why they were doing these interviews in the first place. I would have never used the cameras, other than to condemn the death of my child, and that would have been the end of it. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll watch this closely.
WTIC News Talk 1080 is celebrating 100 years on the air.
Yeah, we are. We got to find another way to do that. So I don't know if I told you this, but, I'm working very, very diligently so we can get our intro music back. I've got to contact Tom Morello, or at least Sony Records. Tom Morello is the guitarist from Rage Against the Machine, who is the person who plays the riff in the opening shot. I don't know exactly what Rush did to get Ohio as his theme music, but I've got to go through Sony to do it. I try to get one friend of mine who actually works with Sony to do it, but I got to ask permission and all this other stuff, so I got to put in a formal request in order to get the rights to use it. So it's a long-going process in order to do it. Roland said that I need to ask for other songs as well. We don't know how much this is going to cost, Roland. I'm asking, and this is the thing. So I'm going to find out how do I put this? I'm going to find out how much it cost me to play 16 seconds of a riff in a loop. So the stuff that I want to, do you have the audio? Do you have the audio by any chance of the music that I'm talking about?
Yeah, somewhere in the folder.
Okay. Do you think you can find it in enough time or no?
Right now, no.
No. Okay, you can't find it now. Let me see if I can find it. So for those of you who know that there is intro music that I've always played for the show. And I want to say for the past, 12, 15 years I've been playing it now. And it's always been my intro music. Let me see if this is it, if it'll pop up. There it is. So it's only 16 seconds that I play in the loop. For those of you who do recognize it, White Mike actually just recently told me, he goes, I was watching Dodgeball, a true underdog story, and then I realized, hey, I know that song. Yes, that's what it's from. And I heard it, and I fell in love with it, and the song is called Face Off. And, yeah, Michael B's like, yeah, we need that back. Yeah, it sets the tone. And I love the fact that it's called Face Off. No coincidences here. That's how I kind of feel every day. So when I hear that riff, I'm ready to go. So we're trying to get Sony to see if they will approve it. Like I said, it's 16 seconds, play it on the loop. We'll find out how much they're going to ask for it. And if so, we'll pay for it. If we got to. And see how much it's going to be. It could be, I don't know. I don't even know how that works. Let's go to Jason Caterino with weather and Mark Christopher in the BPS Traffic Center, who actually knows a little bit about music and clearance. Do you know how much it is to clear a song if you want to use it like Rush does with Ohio?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that information.
No? Okay. Because I know
it seems like doesn't the station pay ASCAP and BMI?
Yes,
already.
I know, but I kind of feel like for a particular song that you're going to be playing as an intro, like as an identifier of a show,
Okay.
I'm almost certain you've got to ask for permission for that. Like, if it was just us grabbing any random song, that's different.
Right.
But this is like I'm asking to use it as an identifier of the show. So like the official theme music.
That's an Odyssey lawyer question.
Yeah, it sounds like a licensing
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I would contact one of the lawyer people in the company.
And
They
it's
would
only
definitely know that.
16 seconds, which
Right.
baffles me because I know that you're not supposed to use beyond 30 seconds of a song without paying a royalty, but I'm looping the 16 seconds to about 30 seconds. So,
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I
trying
don't know.
to
I
figure it out.
honestly don't know that. I don't know that. I honestly don't know.
I wonder if Jason Caterina knows. He says he's
He might know.
He might be he's been in the news business, so he may not know. I don't know.
He could ask one of those smart Penn State, one of those Penn State professors in the law department. They would probably know.
So you know that Hines actually just gave Rush permission.
She did? Chrissy Hines did?
Chrissy Hines
Oh, that's
gave
cool.
him permission because the record label told him to cease and desist.
Oh.
And then in another radio show, Hines says, "My parents love Rush Limbaugh. Of course he can use it."
And the other thing, too, is he had a zillion listeners, so you hear that every day.
Exactly.
People are gonna
You go
"What-
buy
what
the
is that?
song."
What is that? I love that song. Yeah, of course. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, before we get out of here.
Sandwiches.
Do not forget to get to Between Rounds, your bakery, bagel, and sandwich cafe. Pick up a Reese's peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You got until the rest of the month, to the end of the month, to do it. $1 for every purchase goes to our friends at the Friendly Hands Food Bank. And we'd appreciate your patronage at our good friends at Between Rounds. Also, even though the phone lines are filled and every one of these people have already won, get on the lines right now, 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Call in, and you could be our last but not least caller of the day, and you will win a dozen bagels a month for 6 months, courtesy of Between Rounds. Let me get through a lightning round here because I got so many people here. Let's start with Brad. Brad's in the car. How are you, Brad?
I'm fine, Reese. Again, you never fail to entertain. I just love the show today. I just love the banter you have with the guy who's thinking that we're going to cancel the history of the United States by cutting back on the cost of celebration.
Yeah.
I think the point you made was so perfect. Celebration is a local thing, like fireworks.
Exactly.
My town, where I live, pays for the fireworks. I think it comes from, there's a probably town budget for it. So yeah, maybe next year for the 250th anniversary, there'll be a little more money in the local budget for that. But I think the point you made was brilliant. And I just don't think he got it.
I don't think so. I think he was looking for a reason to blame Elon because, that's the soup du jour, as it were.
Yeah. And the second thing I wanted to I'm glad you had the story about the impact of dogs on the environment by the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to have to, when I get home, I'm going to ask my dog, why does he want to travel to the Pacific Northwest? If that's for the purpose of hunting birds, I'm going to cancel the ticket. I'm telling you.
And listen, I don't think if they're going to turn off so many people, dog lovers, they don't want to hear that their dogs are hurting the environment. They would sooner destroy the environment to protect the little pup-pups, okay? They would volunteer.
Exactly.
Every dog walker I know would sooner take up, a dog walker or a dog owner, they would sooner take up smoking before they got rid of their dogs. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. Let's go to Lynn in West Suffield. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Reese. I was calling. I heard the best way to describe the Democrats in America now, BS 13. There's 4 more Democrats going to El Salvador, so I said I had to call and tell you that one.
I like that, BS 13, and they're already on the ground. Donald Trump actually posted, the Department of Homeland Security put out a tweet and said 4 more Democrats have arrived in San Salvador. All 4 of them voted against the Laken Riley Act.
Yeah.
And thank God these people are not prominent individuals. No one knows who these people are with the exception of that kid Frost from Florida. So
right.
He's trying to make a name for himself, and he just did. He definitely succeeded.
There you go. So
in the wrong
now
way.
You have a new name.
Exactly. I love it, Lynn. Thank you, Lynn.
Right. Okay.
I appreciate you. Let's go to Sean in Meriden. Hello, Sean.
She just gave me an idea for a new hat.
What's that?
It's BS13 on the front, and on the back it says, "You can't fix stupid."
That's great. Yep. Hey, you know what?
All
It's
right,
so
real
funny.
quick.
I was thinking about MS. What? Oh, never mind. I screwed it up. Go ahead. What did you got, sir?
Real quick, you could start, like for the theme song, you could do a GoFundMe page because everyone's doing that nowadays. But real quick, because I know other people waiting. I'm amazed that Dems have not. Well, I'm not amazed that they haven't done it. But the two key things that have happened recently is a black young man who stabbed a white young man for he sat in the wrong place, and then he stabbed him in the heart and killed him. And now he had a GoFundMe page where they cleared over $400,000 quote for his legal fees, but not one dime is being spent on the legal fees. They bought a new home, they bought a new car, and everything like that, and his legal fees are being covered by somebody else.
What I understand, and I think Matt Walsh talked about this a little bit, was people are saying that I guess this new generation action network, they are actually fronting the money or fronting the purchases with the added fact that whatever money is released to them will just go to this political action group that is working at their spokesman. So the woman is saying, like, we haven't spent a dime. But people are saying that that's because this action group, this new generation action network, they're the ones actually footing the bill for all of these things with the guarantee that they're going to get that GoFundMe money.
Get their money back.
Yeah.
So you're really not fronting any money because you're getting your money back.
Exactly right.
And no one looked into the Black Lives Matter, the two CEOs who then bought homes with the money from their nonprofit organization.
Story's not over yet.
In white neighborhoods, and then quit.
Yeah, remember, that story's not over yet. Patrice Cullors.
Amen.
Patrice Cullors is definitely going to have a criminal indictment against her very soon. You heard it here first. Patrice Cullors. They are going to go after her first. Expect the Justice Department to do that very soon.
And I just have one question, and I'll hang up and listen for your answer. Did you hear about today? My condolences about the Pope passing, but they also mentioned that he had an agreement with Communist China.
I did not hear that. I'll have to look into that. I'll look into that.
I heard that. I heard that. To be honest, I'm a conservative, but I heard on Newsmax about he had signed an agreement with Communist China about something, and it's just coming out now, but they're trying to keep it under wraps.
Okay, let me see if I can look into that. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sean.
All right, I appreciate it.
You got it. Lori's in Glastonbury. Hey, Lori.
Hey, so Reese, so there are churches, in order to get access to songs that churches will use for their praise and worship time,
okay,
they will use an organization, I believe it's called CCLI. So Cookie Lemon Institute. I don't know. CCLI.
Okay.
And so maybe that's a place to kind of look into start. And with that licensing, you have access to a myriad of different songs.
Ooh, okay.
And so I do know that there's a cost involved.
Right.
But maybe that you can at least start there and figure out if that's an avenue to go with.
Okay, I just wrote it down, and I will definitely look into that. Like I said, I've already contacted. I went to Sony. They gave me the website to go to. They had to fill out this whole form. Like, it's sort of like a whole online thing. You have to break down. You have to explain to them what you're using it for exactly, whether or not it's for TV or for a movie, exactly your plans for it. So I did a whole breakdown. I filled it out, and they say someone will get back to you shortly. I haven't seen anything in my email yet, so I'm waiting. I think it's going to work out.
Well, you also need that closing, like the for the last 20 minutes of the show, that whatever that riff was. Hold on. I missed that too.
I know exactly what you're looking for. This one I'm never going to get. Oh, no, I don't have it here. Oh, I don't have it there. It's going to suck. What you're talking about is my theme song from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, or, it's called Running Down a Dream, which is, that's my theme song. If you know that song by Tom Petty, that whole song is about me and radio. And he didn't write it that way.
The one that like when you would come back after the 5:30 news, and then like there was a little break of the temp.
Oh, you're talking about the music that Roland plays. That's the okay. Yeah, that one. Yeah, you always talk about that, Lori. You love that. Whatever that beat was. What was that from, Roland? What's that music from?
What are you talking about?
Remember when we used to do this break, you had this one particular song that I said play it.
Oh yeah, that was J. Cole.
That's from J. Cole. Yeah, Lori loves that. She misses that wasn't it. So maybe we should add that to the list.
Yeah, you love that. End it too.
I was the reason.
Well, because in the same way that the song at the beginning sets the tone, the song at the end also kind of closes out the show really nicely.
Exactly.
And so it's a very nice bookending type of use of the music.
I think you're 100% right, and I'm going to, Roland, send me the name of the J. Cole song. We'll see if we can get that in there, too.
Cool, yay!
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you. And you're right, it sets a good tone. It lets everybody know that we're about to go home. You know, it's like, exactly. What's the song, the Roy Rogers song? Happy Trails.
Happy Trails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Van Halen did a cover of that, which I loved.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Thank you. I appreciate you. Craig is in the car. He's not my last but not least. But like I said, if you want to be last but not least, you got to call right now. What's going on, Craig?
Bombadita, bombadita, bombadita.
I'm not going to lie. I love that song. And another radio show that I used to listen to, they used to play that at the end, too. It's such a good song.
God bless Lori for bringing that up.
Yeah.
God. So here's what I think Rush did, and it may be a little trick. It won't make sense to 95% of people. So both your Tom Morello thing and the Pretenders thing is very repetitive going into the guitar riff.
Correct.
So if it's 16 seconds long, you don't need to buy the 16, you buy the 8, you clip it in half, and you play the first half 3 or 4 times.
Okay. So then it's not a licensing issue.
You didn't buy the whole thing.
Exactly.
You don't need to.
You're so right. But in order for it to work, see, I counted it, and for some odd reason, I think, and again, I could be wrong here. I just think that the way that it works, let me see, intro. If I do it, it's got to be the 16 seconds because it just sounds wrong if it doesn't go the
clip.
So that's it. And that actually comes in at 12 seconds. That's it. That's the whole song.
I always remember listening to Rush's intro, and I could hear the clip in it.
So did you. Oh, my God. You're not the only one. I listened to it every time he started the show. I put my ear to the speaker or my headphones. I literally put my fingers in my ears so I can hear exactly where the clip is, where the loop is. And I know he did it there.
I could hear it.
You're so right. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and it drove me nuts.
Did it? Did your attention to detail drove you nuts, right?
Yes, it did. Yeah, I was a little ADD about the Rush intro, but you know what? It's still cool. It got me into the Pretenders, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that's the truth. I think, look, first of all, I love the movie Dodgeball. And I know I told you this. I had this incessant need to buy every copy I saw at like a Walmart for sale. I had, at one time, I purchased the Dodgeball DVD 9 times. That's how I own 9 copies of it. And
you own 9 copies of a movie I've never seen. So there you go.
What? Are you kidding me?
Never.
Okay. That's just wrong.
I'm like Mark the Shark. You know, after Ferris Bueller, I stopped watching movies.
Oh, these people are my friends. What do we talk about now? Anyway, thank you, buddy. I love you, man. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, yeah, I got to call you about the bike thing. I'm going to call you in a little bit.
Yes, I've got it for you.
You got it. Perfect. Yeah, we got to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Jason Caterina, he's got your weather. And Mark Christopher is in the BPS Traffic Center. Welcome to your week, Mark. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Have a great night.